everybody. This is it. This is it. This is the final episode of Closing Out the Week. I will be closing out your week for the last time right here on New Year's Day. It is 2021. Welcome to this new year, a new beginning, if you wish to see it that way. Some people are very cynical, which I understand, and they would rather not see a difference between the previous year and this year. There are many similarities. You woke up today, and not much has changed. We're still in the same spot, but this can be a marker to start something new, which I feel like that's what obviously a New Year's resolution is. But I mean something a little bit more internal, which I know New Year's resolutions could be internal as well, but I mean changing your perspective on really what life is and what life is supposed to be. I mean, I've heard a lot over my lifetime, and I've only lived, tomorrow's my birthday, so 24, I'll be 24 years. I'll just say 24 years. Over my 24 years of living, I've heard this a lot, where you have to take every day as a blessing, right? Live every day as a blessing. I'm not a religious person. I went through a huge atheist kick when I was 14, which I've talked about before on the Closers podcast. Rest in peace. And that saying always kind of pushed me away because obviously, I'm not a Christian and I'm not religious, and anything that has the word blessings in it, I was just dumb. That is dumb. But, I think I was the one that was more dumb in that situation, because overall the sentiment is good. It's a right way to kind of look at every day. I guess for me, I got lost in the explanation. No one ever gave an explanation. People said that phrase to me and expected me to just understand how that would impact my life. Looking at every day as, making the best of every day, making the most of every day, viewing every day as a true treasure waiting to be rifled through, right? It took me a while to understand that. And this past year, 2020, I discovered that feeling. After going through many emotions this past year, I have discovered how I can look at every new day, with some sort of excitement to do something else, whether it's continue working on a song, whether it's doing an interview for the podcast, whether it is just shooting the shit with Quinn on non-recording times, or playing a video game, or watching basketball, or watching football with my family. There's something I could look forward to that I truly enjoyed. And focusing on those things really helped me. And I know that I usually start the podcast by asking you how your week has gone. But since it is the start of a new year, I feel like it's better to reflect on the past year. And I feel like all of our years have had a similar through line, which is why I'm just going straight off the top with looking at this new year, 2021, as a fresh start. And one way to do that, like I said, is by taking every day and viewing it as a new beginning. Use this year to start that pattern. It's a good way to kickstart that pattern. But look, there are very few things that actually affect you day to day. Consider that. Okay, so you couldn't get your cup of coffee from Starbucks because the line was too long, you're going to be late for work. Okay. So your dog peed in the house. That fucking sucks. Got to clean that shit up. At least it's not shit, but I mean, Like, there are many things that you can get upset over, and I have been one of those people. I am one of those people still. It's not like I'm a freaking shaman, or I don't know, a master at this. I'm just talking from what I've been telling myself. And this is what I want to impart to you on this last show of closing out the week. But what I'm saying is that those little things don't matter. You're talking to somebody. Things aren't really working out that well. Well, guess what? You weren't talking to someone prior to this, right? Well, obviously everyone's situation may be different, but most of the time, you know how it's like, what it's like to be alone. And you've been able to handle that pretty well. Maybe not great all the time. You have your moments. We all do. But overall, you know you'll be okay, right? If you really think about it, you maybe really like this person, and that you get rejected, even extending it to that point. You know what it's like to be alone, and that is good. That's a good thing. Having that sense of comfortability with yourself makes you impervious to a lot of life's harshness and pain, I would say. Speaking as somebody who has experienced some of life's harshness and pain this past year in various forms, which I have talked about on this show in the past, being with yourself, trusting yourself, and allowing yourself to knowing that you are good alone, that you can handle that, you can handle life by yourself, is a huge, huge, not to sound like Trump, I definitely sounded like Trump that last huge, but is a big shield for one's heart and for one's psyche and ego. To me, I've kind of had to work that muscle a lot this year, doing things on my own. I know Gabby and Quinn love to make fun of me for it, but going to Sweden, being there by myself, having to navigate an entirely different country by myself, at least in the beginning, was pretty scary, and I had to figure it out. Being home here with basically just Luna around, my dog, which I talked about last episode, for a good 4 months, basically. It was just me and the dog during the days and actually nighttime too. And having to deal with all the emotions of losing things left and right. It felt like everything was losing. There was the, Black Lives Matter protest erupting around me. And it just felt like life in the world was just falling apart. And knowing, though, that I'm going to wake up the next day, I'm going to wake up the next morning, and we can try this again. That kept me going. That made me feel pretty powerful, that I could jump from day to day and be like, okay, this didn't work today. This is tragic. This is trash. But I can try again. As simple as that sounds, for me, that's what helps. So hopefully going forward into this next year, you can take some of my advice or wisdom or whatever you want to call it and maybe fester on that a little bit in a positive way. And maybe incorporate that to some degree, because I have had to do a lot of reflection this year, just like I've had to do a lot of reflection the past couple years. And I feel like life is just all about reflecting. Now that I've gotten older, I'm about to be 24. Isn't that weird? I hate saying it. I hate saying it because I feel like, when I was like 21, it's like, okay, I'm a young kid. I'm a young man coming up in the world, trying to figure myself out. There's a lot of excuses just given to you being 21, being 18, even 22. Oh, you're still, you're figuring yourself out still. And I know that there are older people that may be listening to this that are like, 24, you don't know anything at 24. Okay, well, I mean, I probably, to you, I probably don't, and I will give you that respect. But for people around our age, in our demographic, I am at the ass end of that demographic now as being 24. So compared to my like friends that are maybe younger than me, I feel a lot older. And just like Quinn and I talked about on the last episode of the Closers podcast, I feel older also because of the previous job I held for like 5 years. So definitely didn't help out a lot. But regardless, reflecting, right? So like I said before, I kind of got off track with the whole 21 thing, but life I've seen that is all about reflecting. I've had to do that every year ever since I was like 15. I've been reflecting on myself, trying to figure out things about myself, trying to accept parts of myself. And I mean, I've always looked at the new year as a way to do that. It gives you like a great head start. Gives you a great excuse to take time for yourself and kind of look back on the past collection of time and figure things out from it. What did I do well? What did I not do well? Right? And one of the things I took away from this year is looking at every day like it's a treasure. And I don't succeed in that all the time. I have my bad days where I just get pissed about everything and cynical. But I feel like I'm getting there. And I just hope if that is what you want for yourself too, you will get there soon as well. This is the last episode of Closing Out the Week. So I wanted to impart some sort of advice, some positivity to you. I've been trying to keep it really positive on the show ever since summer because I had realized in the beginning of the year when I first started, I was super negative about everything. I was just pissed and mad, and that's not fun for you to listen to, first of all, and second, that's not good for me. I used to think that releasing that anger and that sadness explicitly was a good way of letting go of things and pushing things out of yourself into the world and just letting them be, right? But maybe that's just me maturing. Maybe I'm just changing in a certain way, but that doesn't work anymore. What it does, it makes me relive these things over and over and over, and I don't get over things, or I get more upset over things because I'm talking about it all the fucking time, and because I'm getting mad about it. It makes me get even more mad, and it just becomes a snowball. So I don't even allow myself to get to that point anymore. So what I do now is try to find a silver lining, as hard as it may be sometimes in certain situations. So that's what I've been working on a lot this year. I hope that maybe something I said here will help you go further this upcoming year and make 2021 light years better than 2020. One last thing I want to say before we get out of here is a thank you to everyone who's listened to me on this show, Quinn on Hang 10, or both of us on the Closers podcast this past season or the first season. If you were a guest, thank you so much. Ostia, shout out to you for providing the music for Hang 10. We appreciate it a lot. I know Quinn does too. He forgot to mention that on the podcast on Monday, but he wanted me to tell you, big shout out, big thank you to Ostia. So there you go. Also, thank you to my parents and my family for supporting me and listening. Sometimes you guys were the only ones who listened to some episodes I saw. So thank you for that. I really, truly appreciate you, and I am really fortunate to be akin to you. And lastly, I just want to give a bit of kind of a fun fact. The intro and outro music for Closing Out the Week this season is a song called Deceiving that I made when I was 14 years old in Fruity Loops, a cracked version of Fruity Loops. Which for people that don't know, like audio production and stuff, that probably sounds like I did drugs, but no, it was an illegal version of the digital audio workstation known as FL Studio, other words, Fruity Loops, FL, Fruity Loops. And yeah, I made that because I was super into dubstep. And we needed intro music for this show, and I didn't want to just use some random song off the internet that we've done in the past. I wanted it to have some sort of connection to me, and so I found that song on YouTube. I don't have the original file anymore, but I ripped it from YouTube. Thank goodness for YouTube to MP3. And there we go. We have the intro and outro music for it. It is on YouTube if you want to listen to it. I mean, my DJ name or my artist name from back in the day was called Army of Numbers, all one word. So if you want to go and listen to the whole song, you can go and do that. There's like 2 or 3 other songs as well, I believe. But regardless, that's just a little tidbit of a fun fact for you to close out this episode. And we're finally done with this project. It has been a whirlwind. There's been a lot of ups and downs, like with anything, but I've grown a lot. And I don't want to. And I've grown a lot thanks to all of you and your support. Big shout out one last time to Kylie Juarez for listening and reaching out and telling me to keep going with this project. You are great and you're awesome, and I appreciate you in a bevy of ways for just being yourself and taking time to support someone who's really going for it. And you definitely don't have to, but you are, and that's what means a lot to me. Same for Amy Alstrom as well. I shouted both of you guys out on the last episode of the Closers podcast, but thought I'd do it here too, just because you guys have impacted me a lot, and hearing from both of you this year helped me get through it. So thank you again, and that's all I got for you. Make 2021 as good as you want it to be. Some things cannot be helped, but most things, I say, can be. So self-reflect, people. It's the best way to move forward, and that's what we're doing with this podcast, is moving forward and pulling the plug. If you want to follow me on my personal Instagram, I'm at MARC_AVACADO, at Mark_avocado. If you want to follow Quinn, at Quintessential39. And that's all we got. Thank you for this journey. It's cool to see it finally come to an end in the way that we wanted it to go out. Until next time, take care. Mm-hmm.